What's up, guys? It's Casey Zogelman, aka the Fourth Sanderson Sister, coming at you with another Hocus Pocus reaction video. In today's video, I'm reacting to and discussing the first draft of Hocus Pocus to see how different of a movie this would have been, and, in my opinion, if it would still be the hit it is today. I've got my copy right here. I don't think this is actually, I'm pretty sure all these signatures are just copy-pasted, guys. Don't get too excited. Pretty sure these are all copy-pasted from the internet, so just... It's okay. Don't freak out. Yeah, because as somebody who actually met Kathy and got her signature, this don't even look like her signature. Like, I have a pretty good reference point on the wall. Point is, I've got my draft right there, so if I need to make some references, I got my list of things that I want to talk about, but I got it if I want to make direct quotes and check things. So, without further ado, let's get this party started and see how different this movie could have been, and let me tell ya, it's different. So first off in the prologue, we immediately learn that Elijah is 10 years old, he's Thackeray's brother, and he was present to see the Sanderson sisters brewing the potion and abduct Emily. But they don't actively abduct Emily. She ate one of those crow candies and she came on her own volition after Winifred did a little summoning spell. Not Sarah! You heard it here, folks! It wasn't Sarah, it was Winnie. What? I'll get to that in a minute. I have thoughts on things a little bit later. The character descriptions for the Sandersons, they're actually pretty amusing. I'm not gonna lie. I enjoyed the crap out of them. I gotta read them to you real quick, because Lord have mercy. The one for Sarah just has me rolling. Winifred is the eldest and by far the most powerful. We knew that. Once beautiful. Okay. Her beauty has been corrupted by evil, her fingers have grown talons, her teeth have sharpened, but she's still vain, and she hates children for their youth and prettiness. Winifred has a nasty temper. When she gets really angry, her hair stands on end, and she possesses an ability to discharge jolts of electrical energy. So basically, she turns into the Bride of Frankenstein. Winifred has great skill with potions and spells. She's a very dangerous witch. That's important. Kinda. I mean, it is, but it's gonna add to my point later. Mary, the middle sister, is obese and gluttonous, obsessed with food. She possesses the outward manner of a sweet as sugar, I can't read tonight, kindly aunt. That checks out. The vibe check is there. Mary loves little children. She loves them because she loves to eat them. Mary's sense of smell is incredible. It's incredibly keen. She can I swear I'm not dyslexic. She can follow the scent of a child like a bloodhound. Here's the one that just kind of had me go, wow, and then made me snort through my nose. Sarah, the youngest, is the idiot sister. She's also beautiful and sexy. She likes to torture things. Small animals, children, bugs, you name it. Any suggestion of cruelty to somebody else sends her into a fit of idiotic cackling laughter, while any fear for herself sends her into a fit of terrifying screaming. She's a mess. I just love that. Just that last little blunt. She's a mess. Like, thanks. We got that. She's also a bit of a serial killer. That's some sociopathic behavior, which I will again address a little later. So their character descriptions are freaking hilarious. One thing I actually did like that they added was, I didn't really read how Emily escaped, and I went back and I flipped back and forth. I'll get there in a second, but when Thackeray breaks in, there's this hilarious gag with Winifred's, "Get them, you fools!" And then Mary looks at Sarah and goes, "Get him, you fool!" and shoves her in Binks. And then Binks hits her on the head with some kind, I think it was like a pot or something. And I'm just like, dang, Sarah just got thrown under the bus and then it backed up and ran over her again. Jeez. It was so funny. I was like, I kind of wish they'd kept that. Just Mary doing pass it on. That's hilarious. But yeah, Emily does escape. The life potion doesn't get used on her. She doesn't die. She goes, I guess she escapes during Thackeray's blackout. I don't know what happens there, man. it wasn't clear, and that left me very confused. But something interesting is, because of that, the Sanderson sisters never grow young. They remain those old hags that we see at the beginning of the movie throughout the movie, but then Sarah's character description was, she's also beautiful and sexy, so, like, I don't want to say this on a family-friendly channel. Don't make me say these words. Draft 1 of Hocus Pocus. I don't want to say these words. It's nasty. Is Sarah... I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I quit. This is my last video. I'm kidding. Mostly, I'm just gonna get it over with. Is Sarah a gilf? A grandma you'd like to...
What is wrong with you?
Like, what is this? See what you're doing to me, Draft 1 of this script? You're making me think about these things. I don't want to think about them. I don't like it. Make it stop. I need eye bleach. But after Emily escapes during Thackeray's blackout after being hit by a ton of electricity by Winifred, they still turn him into a cat. Again, don't know what happened to Emily. Emily not there. She gone. And then she shows up again later with Elijah, her father, and the townspeople. And then they arrest the Sandersons. As you do. In the final draft, same thing. But instead of just being hanged, they're literally about to be... Whew. This is a Disney film. They are both hanged and burned alive at the same time. Jeez. Talk about overkill.
Ooh, somebody stop me. I'm laughing.
Like... It's bad enough you're setting them on fire, but it's like, well, we may as well end it quickly, so, you know, at some point the plank they're standing on is gonna break, and then it'll hang them, if they're not already dead from the fire. Lord have mercy. A Disney picture. Moving on to present time, because that's the end of the prologue, as usual, with their death. And then we jump ahead to the present, and we're introduced to two characters, Ben and Alan, in class with Allison and Max. Max has friends, I think. They're friends. They want to be his friend. They act like his friends, but he also says he has no friends throughout the script, so it's really kind of a wishy-washy situation, and I'm like, Max... Are they your bros or no? I'm confused. And that's something I said a lot during this, was I'm confused. And again, I'm going to get to that later. But yeah, Max had friends, Ben and Alan. They actually played like a prank, if you will, on Allison. They put like a robotic tarantula crawling across the floor, and it jumped on her foot and scared her, and then they pointed at Max, and they were like, we were just trying to break the ice for you, man. Now you can talk to her, and it just made him look like a bigger jerk, so there you go. I don't know. This was one of those situations, I'm about to say it. Draft 1 had way too many characters. It had way too many characters. Just like Hocus Pocus 2 had way too many characters that somehow made it into the final script. And I'm really glad Ben and Alan got ejected before the final version, because they're there and then they're not. And then they're there again. And then they're not. And then they're there again at the end to deliver a punchline, and I'm like, where were you for half the movie? So, I'm glad they got ejected, and I really wish that somebody else in Hocus Pocus 2 had gone the same way as Ben and Alan. Mike. Looking at you, Mike. You should have gone with them over in the unwanted characters corner. Things we don't need. He was basically those guys. Where were you for half the movie? What was your purpose? Why are you here? They should have done to him what they did to Ben and Alan. Eject them. My point is, Max had friends. It was a little weird, because he still tries to be this brooding loner type. who has no friends, but he has friends. It just didn't really work. They didn't work. They did not work. I did not like them. I did not appreciate their presence. But something interesting about the school life is it's not Jacob Bailey High School. No, 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 no. It was called Cromwell High School. Cromwell. I know that name. That's a name I've heard for many years of my life. Halloween Town connection, anybody? Take place in the same universe confirmed? Is Cromwell High School just a front for Ilvermorny? I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that Cromwell High was what they were called and not Jacob Bailey High, because Halloween Town came out like 4 years later? 93? 5 years later. It came out 5 years later. So, inspiration taken from Hocus Pocus Draft 1? I don't know. It's interesting. But when we meet Allison, she's kind of a jerk. I didn't like Allison in Draft 1. She was the mean girl cheerleader, and I did not enjoy that very much. There was a much less amicable interaction for her and Max for their first time than there was in the final draft, and I like how they did her better, where she's likable for a reason. She's not a jerk. Like, even when she was letting Max down, she was nice. Like, I don't know. I didn't like Draft 1 Allison until, like, 3/4 of the way in. So, that wasn't great. But then there's Jay and Ice. Holy crap, those guys. Jeez, they were worse in Draft 1. Like, Ice is such a bigger jerk, not just to Max, but I mean, he was also a jerk to Jay. He called Jay names, like, and this is the part that kind of made me clutch my pearls for a moment. He pulled a knife on Max to give him his shoes. Like, I was like, whoa! This just got a little bit more of a parental guidance needed. We went from PG to, PG, please watch this with your kids. And then there was this really weird, like, biking scene between Max and the bullies where there was this, like, mountaintop ski resort nearby in Salem, and as somebody who's been to Salem, I can promise you that's not there. That's not there. That's not even a thing. They're on the coast. The mountains are a ways off. Not like super far, but they're a ways off. You ain't riding a bike to them, that's for sure. And it was just a very weird waste of time. Like, it was to show their rivalry or something, and I was like, what is going on? Why are we here? What are we doing? It was really random, really weird, and it was very much a Chekhov's gun, because that biking trail does come back at the end of the movie, but again, it was weird, and I didn't like it that much. I was like, we could just scribble this out, and we would lose nothing. We would lose nothing. Apparently, like I said a minute ago, Allison was a cheerleader, because Max gets a copy of the school paper, The Crucible, and she is pictured on the front, leading cheers, so I'm assuming she was a cheerleader, stuff like that. I don't know, it was very vague, and then, now this made me laugh, just because of what came out in the last couple of years about Omri Katz. This made me laugh. When they're getting ready to go on the trick-or-treating thing, Max taking Danny out, she goes, "What are you supposed to be?" And he goes, "A dope dealer." I'm sorry. The fact that Omri is now running his business, like, dude, it's just, the irony is too great. If you know, you know. Because Omri was stoned on set a few times. A lot. And it was just, I just love that there was a dope dealer. I'm like, oh my god, this part was made for him. It's so funny. And that's not in a bad way. I just think the irony is too fantastic. Now, something I noticed that made me kind of go, ooh, we just went into PG-13 territory. This escalated quickly. Was Max says the word not once, but twice in this script. He says the word shit. And I was like, this is a Disney movie! But this was a Disney movie in the 90s. Again, we went from PG to PG-13, whereas in today it'd be like, R, hard R, hard R. And I'm just like, we'll get to that later. But yeah, I was kind of surprised. I was like, did these people forget who they were writing for? But yeah, he says the word shit a couple of times, and I was like, okay, PG-13 it is, which I think is a good idea for the third one. Just throwing that out there. But we flash forward, we see pretty well the same interaction between Max and Allison and Danny at Allison's house, and then they go to the Sanderson Museum. Max actually accidentally lights the candle this time because they were looking for Danny's like half-pound bag of candy. So he actually forgot that it was a black flame candle. He just flicks the lighter and he lights it because he was trying to get more light in the room. And I'm like, honestly, I kind of wish they had kept that. Like, that's actually pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. I liked that a lot. I thought that was great. But instead of a painting on the wall that you can barely see, by the way, there are wax figures of the Sanderson sisters in the museum, and that is very important, because after the black flame candle's lit and the whole house goes haywire and they're resurrected, they don't come back as people, which is kind of creepy. Actually, it's really creepy. Their spirits manifest inside their wax figures, and as the night goes on, they turn more and more back to wax. Which is freaking frightening when you think about it. Like, bro, that's some dark crap. The longer the night goes, they just start turning into wax dummies instead of just being like, yo, we only got till sunrise. It's just like, well, we're getting stiffer. This is not good. One of them, they never did this, but I'm like, one of them would probably end up losing all of the range of motion in one of their arms or something. Like, that's scary. Now, this is something I'm going to harp on for a second, because it really bothered me. And I talk about it a little more in depth later, but I'm going to start it right now. Sarah and Mary are constantly and continuously mixed up with each other in the stage directions and the lines. It's very confusing. It's very annoying. It's hard to keep up with which one is which unless you know the movie like the back of your hand, like me. Oh, hey, that's new. Listen, their personalities are not interchangeable. And the fact that they kept mixing them up as much as they did, I'm like, did you guys even care about them in the first draft? I don't think they did. It was very weird because at some points, like, Mary acts like Sarah acts like Mary. It's weird, and they're constantly being confused for each other in the script. And it just throws you off. Because I'm like, these are two very distinct characters, but in draft one, it's just like, they are one hive mind. And I'm like, this is not okay for me. So, yeah, I'm gonna harp on that more later. I had to start it off, because I started noticing that very early in the script, and it was driving me bananas. Another note, but this one's for Winifred, again, they were doing something very interesting with her in the first draft. She has superhuman strength. Like, she smacks Mary and knocks her clear across the room. And I'm just like, God dang. Jesus, woman. It's crazy. So, like, she has an upgrade to her magic, while the other two, they don't even have distinctive powers. Sarah sniffs sometimes. Mary sniffs sometimes. They don't have distinctive powers, and Winifred's got Thanos over here. She's got all of the Infinity Stones. So she's got superhuman strength, which was interesting. Again, this is another one of those times where I mixed up with each other. Mary eats the bug in the bushes instead of Sarah. And Sarah acts surprisingly intelligent many times throughout this. And they even describe her as the idiot sister, which makes me go, was that supposed to be Mary's line? And Sarah was supposed to be eating the bug? What was going on here? So, I don't know. It was interesting that Mary ate, it was a beetle, it wasn't even a spider. Sarah went on a pretty long observation about the fire truck, and I was just like, what is going on? Who are you people? And speaking of who are you people, when we get to the graveyard fight and we resurrect Billy, not even then, when Binks is telling us the backstory for Billy, Billy was not romantically involved with neither Sarah or Winnie. He was a murderer that they resurrected as a zombie after he was hung. They cut his tongue out and sewed his mouth shut. They brought him back just to cause chaos because he was a murderer in his prime. Not a friendly. I repeat, not a friendly. Which is crazy because that's not how we know Billy. Billy is a goofy little zombie who makes us laugh. And he's just funny. And he's a good guy at heart. He just needs to talk. Like, it's crazy how different Billy was in Draft 1. And I ain't done talking about him yet either. So, another observation I have to make about this, just in general, is Mary gets beat up way more in Draft 1 than she did in the final draft. I mean, she was the punching bag for most of these jokes. And then there's Sarah, who's like a freaking sociopath bordering on serial killer behavior because she likes to make jokes about rip the cat's limbs off and do all this other stuff, slowly torture them. I'm just like, what is going on? I don't like you this way. I don't like you this way. Go back to the other way. You're not my adorable little baby. Who are you? Now, we hear her say several things like this during the graveyard fight. Mary says something hilarious. It's a building joke that made me chuckle. Winifred it's when they're trying to get the book back. She threatens and tries to, shoot the kids. Sarah recommends certain types of torture. And Mary just goes, give us the book and we'll be gone. She's just like, she just asks. She's like, can we just have the book and then we'll leave you alone?
Yes. The negotiator.
Hey, negotiation. I mean, negotiations.
You were right about one thing, Master. The negotiations were short.
They were short because as soon as she asked that, Danny insulted her. It was just funny to me because I'm like, she's still, out of all this, she's still the one who's like, I'm gonna take a different approach. And it never works. So there was one moment, again, when Billy is resurrected, where he starts coming for the kids. Binks looks at Max and goes, hey, did you ever see the Night of the Living Dead? And he goes, yeah. And he goes, well, it's true. Zombies eat people, so we might want to move, or something like that. Which kind of made me go, was that an Easter egg in Hocus Pocus 2? When Gilbert is running away and he goes, why are you alive? And don't try to eat my brains, or something like that. And Billy goes, why would I? And I'm like, was that a pun back to that? Was that a reference back to that? I mean, I think that was a hidden Easter egg that I just discovered tonight. So you have that information now. Sick burn that Winifred gave Sarah after Sarah made a comment. And it was actually her calling Winifred out, which I kind of enjoyed, for obvious reasons. Winifred was cursing all of the kids and Binks and all this stuff, and Sarah goes, well, it was your idea to turn him into a cat. And I was already like, oh, but then Winifred goes, puncture thyself and let the air out of thy brain. And I was just like, sick burn. It was a sick burn. It was good. It made me laugh. So when they depart. Everything is also really out of order. Like, the order of operations to things, of how they do stuff, when they go places, it's so messed up and so weird. Like, they head to the master's house after this, because they don't get on the bus. The bus isn't a thing. They just fly there, because Mary smells the kids, and then they see all the kids in the costumes, and Sarah lets out a one-liner that I'm like, oh god, somebody put that on a t-shirt, because that's hilarious. She just looks around, and she takes an observation, and she goes, I want to go back to hell. I was cracking up. I was like, that's good. Put that on a t-shirt. That was funny. Speaking of the devil, so we don't spend a whole lot of time with him, but the brief moment we do spend with him made me go, this is a Disney film, mate. And it would have 100% been PG-13, if not a low-rated R at this point. When they meet the devil, they have a weird conversation with him. And Mary asks, the fact that it was Mary made me think this was supposed to be Sarah, but they put the wrong name again. She goes, will you come out and sport with us later? And he goes, after the wife goes to sleep. And I was like,
Good night, everybody.
Did she just ask for a foursome and he just agreed to it? What is this? What is this? Who are you people? I was just like, I'm done. I give up. I can't do this anymore. But, it was weird. But we don't see his wife. We don't go into his house. We don't have any fun there. A lot of the funny stuff that we remember from the final draft was not in this first draft. And it throws me off, man. So we don't even hear Sarah go amuck, amuck, amuck. Like, that's how different this is. She doesn't even do that.
All right, that's it. Dishonor. Dishonor on your whole family. Make a note of this. Dishonor on you. Dishonor on your cow.
They unmask the kid, and all three of them are like, oh, it's all children. And I'm like, what the crap is going on here? So the Candy Crow arc kind of starts right there, but it's so fast. And Winifred literally tells her sisters, the book can wait, we gotta focus on this first. And I'm like, what? The heck it can? This is not right. You gotta go get your book. And she's just like, nope, we're gonna take a quick detour. They literally go rob a candy store of these Candy Crow shaped gobstoppers. It literally says in the script, crow-shaped everlasting gobstopper. Willy Wonka and Hocus Pocus take place in the same universe confirmed? I don't know. So they take all those candy crows and they enchant them and start handing them out to kids. That's how they get the kids to come later. Is they enchant the candies and then I'm jumping ahead. And then when they get ready to summon the kids, Winifred says a spell over the remaining ones. They go visit the kids. They wake the kids up with her voice saying that she has more for them. And the kids all go in a zombie-like slumber to the house. Sarah's just totally nerfed. What is her point of even being here? What is the point of her even being here? Again, I jumped ahead. We're going to back up. But the fact that it took priority over the book made me go, what? What? Without the book, you can't do the life potion. You kind of need that before you can even get the kid. What if you have all the kids and you don't have the... Oy.
She needs to sort out her priorities.
It's fine. Something cool that they made a reference to, is Binks says he travels the world a lot, and he makes sure to be back in Salem at the house on Halloween every year. Man's been out cruising the world, and all I gotta think is, Cursed Life of Thackeray Binks inspiration, anyone? Because he goes to Ireland to get the book back? I mean, just throwing that out there. Inspired by the first draft of the script? I don't know. Kinda neat that he's a world traveler. Little globe-trotting kitty. Look at that. But we also find out that after he disappeared, Emily was never the same, and she died 1 year after Binks disappeared. Trauma? Depression? Side effects of the crow candy? I don't know. If it's the side effects of the crow candy, there are going to be a lot of dead children in Salem in 1994, and that is a horrifying thought. Yep. It's very weird. Again, it happens later. Sarah also has the sniffing power off and on. Sometimes it's her, sometimes it's Mary. Continuity for these two is a bit rough. It's a bit rough. It's very rough. And I can't keep up with it. Which is a problem. Now, I just gotta toot my own horn for a minute. Beep, beep. The Sandersons, in the first draft, have second forms. Oh, look at me go! Look at me go with my cursed forms video, which you can watch by clicking on this thing right here. But seriously, look at me go! Look at me go! Is dabbing still a thing? I don't know. I don't keep up with the youths. Is it still a thing? Somebody tell me in the comments. But yeah, they have second forms where their teeth grow razor sharp and they get a lot scarier, a lot uglier, a lot more vicious. And they're called hell hags at that point. Like, they go a point... It's berserker mode, basically. And I was like, oh, that wouldn't be nightmare fuel at all. So, yeah. This is now pushing rated R. The nightmare fuel is absolutely pushing rated R. The language is pushing rated R. And Draft 1 was absolutely a horror movie. It had to have been. Oh, yeah. And then we get to the town hall, which feels thrown in there. Because we got to go find the parents in this one. But an interesting thing about the parents that made no freaking sense to me until later, which is also equally scary, is... There's no song. They don't do I Put a Spell on You. That was added later. Which, I think I already knew that, but it was added later. So all the adults in Salem are not under a spell to prevent them from helping children. They're just all stupid. They're just all stupid. Nobody's concerned that there are people chasing these children. I don't understand. Why are they all stupid? At least the bewitchment gave them an excuse. Now they're just ignorant. But we leave there, and we go to the school scene. The pool scene was nothing in the school scene. And it made me sad. It made me very sad. It was very long and drawn out, which I have to say was kind of fun. But also, at the same time, I'm like, we've been here a while. We, had other things to do. Can we move along? So they eventually get them into the kiln. They make several comments about different school equipment. Like, Mary at one point says the water in the school pool has been poisoned. Sarah said something about kids being made to walk the plank and drown in the poison water, but they don't shove Winifred in the pool, and I was just like, boo! Big thumbs down! Where is my pool scene? It was not funny. It was not funny, it was just observations, and again, I'm like, I got other things, I gotta film this, can we gotta go. So eventually they do get them in the kiln. They burn them up. But the reincarnation, reforming, they're not reformed, obviously. The coming back of the sisters happens almost immediately, and it happens above the school. Like, the smoke that's going up is immediately forming back into them. And Binks is like, listen, they are not dead. They're not alive. It's just their spirits. They can't be killed tonight. But here's the funny thing. And I can't... Oh, by the way, Billy's at the school with them. He's there. He's been helping hunt the kids the whole night. Like, viciously hunt them. But as the smoke is reforming in the air, they don't have their flying implements. So it's like, the description reads, and now the Sanderson sisters are back, and they plummet. I was just like, oh god. What a way to go. Skydiving without a parachute. That was funny to me. I was like, this is gonna have a Looney Tunes ending. I can see, you can just hear the whistle as Wile E. Coyote falls off the cliff. I don't know. I think it's funny. Also, that was a very weak whistle, and I'm sorry. I was too busy laughing. So that's funny. I think that's pretty great. But that's when they go hide in the restaurant alley, and apparently Binks has a cat posse? Like, what? He's got buds, he's got friends, and apparently he had an affair with one of the cats called Love Bite? Like, what is this? Binks is part of the cat mafia. So the parents are totally fine, by the way. Like I said earlier, no bewitchment. They literally come home in the middle of the night and they're like, hey, thanks for taking Danny trick-or-treating. We're gonna go to bed now. And when I say they go to bed, I mean they go to bed. They're totally fine. They're so fine. They're doing it in the bedroom. When the Sanderson sisters cut open the window, crawl in, and are sneaking through the room, the parents are there. Having fun. And I'm just like, yeah, we're in rated R territory. We're officially in rated R territory, ladies and gentlemen. Hoy vey. It's actually in the script that that's what they're doing. And I'm like, oh my god. I didn't need this tonight. It's only Tuesday. When I'm filming this, when you're seeing this, it's Wednesday. But it's still too early in the week for this. So, yeah, they literally don't even notice they're there while they're making whoopee. And, Winifred curses them with a forever sleep. Instead of dance until you die, it's sleep until you die. So basically, she does the Maleficent spell. And Sarah Mary just watch. Again. And again, Come Little Children is not there. Sarah does nothing. She's totally nerfed. She's there. She's not there for that part. She's literally stirring the cauldron. That's all she gets to do. And I'm just like, babe. Why are you here? I'm sure she's in the corner smoking a cigarette going, I don't know, man. The character. Not SJP. I don't think she smokes. So that's a thing. And then, now here's something that I was not expecting that I actually have to say kudos because they actually did something. They were smarter in the first draft. They were smarter in the first draft. They actually used the life potion on Jay and Ice, saving Danny for last. Didn't even bother with her. They just had her nice and strapped down because she also ate a piece of candy and got put under the spell. They fed it to Jay and Ice and they literally sucked them dry until they were like 90 years old. They weren't dead. They lived. And they do get their life force back at the end of the movie, or the end of the script, I think. And I was like, oh my god, they did the thing! They did the thing! Well, look at you guys. You were smarter in the first draft. They did get dumber later, but that's okay. I was just kind of like, look at you guys. Good job. Bad job, but good job. So, and this leads to a very, like, fast, hectic, intense chase scene between Max on his bike and Winifred on Mary's vacuum, which I think they put that in there for comic relief, because this is actually a pretty terrifying moment, because I'm pretty sure she has shifted into her Hell Hag form, and they are like, this is where the Chekhov's gun came in, and they're going down the ski mountain bike path thingamaboober, that, like, he finally went down the big boy hill. Good job, Max. Your character art is complete. I don't know. But it was a big, long chase scene. We don't get the driver's permit joke. I don't know. It was scary. It was like Jason trying to get you in the woods. I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, this is a little intense. And then he meets Allison, Binks, and Danny at the graveyard, where they're all huddled together in a ring of salt. All of them. Allison's got the bat. She's the one swinging the bat. Billy is not on their side, guys. The Sanderson sisters yell at him to get the kids. He runs to the ring of salt with every intention to murder these children. The ring of salt touches him, and he blows up. He catches fire and incinerates, and he's gone. And I was like, wow. Wow, we're setting people on fire again. And we just watched them die. Wow. That was graphic. Twice. So yeah, Billy isn't the one. He doesn't join the good guys. Nobody joined the good guys. The 4 that you see is the 4 that you get. And then this skeleton army is raised by Winifred. She raises a literal army of skeletons to attack the kids and get the book, which was nuts. I was like, wow, that's a lot of skeletons. And that probably would have also been terrifying. I'm getting Zombie Island vibes from that, and I don't like it. I don't like it. Childhood trauma. But Winnie kind of goes out like a punk. She goes out like a punk, you guys. It's so pitiful. I was like, honey, you're better than this. You are so much better than this. Allison, I guess, knocked the block off of one of the skeletons. She picks up the head, throws it at Winifred. It throws her off balance. She hits the ground and turns to stone. And I was like, you went out like a pansy. You went out like a pansy. You've been fighting tooth and nail this entire script, and you went out like a pansy. But something cool after that. Sarah and Mary actually do try to take charge of the skeletons. And they actually, like, thump their chest. They grow. They get up there and they're like, you get those kids. And then the sun comes up and immediately kills them. And I'm just like, man, they almost had their boss moment, too. They were this close. This close to having distinct personalities. Good try. But at the end, Binks's spirit gets to move on. But the cat lives, and they take Binks home, and he's got a happy little home. And then we go back to Ben and Alan for a punchline of them lying and saying they defeated the Sandersons. It was stupid. So, yeah, this was a horror movie for the first draft. This was a straight-up horror movie. It focused way more heavily on the kids, as you would in a horror flick. You want to keep up with the protagonist more. The witches, honest to God, never thought I'd say these words in my life. They weren't that funny. They were not very funny. They had moments that were funny, but the comedy, their comedy, specifically in this version, felt very forced. It felt very simple. They had very little chemistry with each other. For God's sake, they made a fart joke in this version.
What are you doing?
There is nothing more forced than that. It was bad. I say all of this because the script itself is very 80s, 90s horror, with them trying to make those 3 specifically terrifying and keeping the themes kind of scary and having these scary moments. And it's like the writers had to periodically go, oh yeah, we're trying to pitch this to Disney. This is supposed to be a family movie. Can you make Winifred hit one of her sisters? Which one? Does it really matter? And then they did a slapstick. They spent way more time making the Sanderson sisters terrifying than they did making them good characters. Like, Jason Voorhees is terrifying, but he's at least a good character. And I'm gonna say it. This could have been a party of one. Sarah and Mary weren't needed. They were just there. They were there. They were there for occasional jokes. They weren't needed for like 95% of this film. Winifred was the main threat. She was the one that was focused on the most. She had the most power. She was the scariest. She was the most fleshed out of the 3. She was Freddy Krueger, and Sarah and Mary were Scooby-Doo villains. There was a very big difference. I felt more for Max in this version, which is nice. I actually liked what they did with his character, but this isn't Hocus Pocus the way it should be. The language was occasionally vile. The sexual innuendos and other adult content was a little shocking at points. Billy was a murderer, like a straight-up serial butcher killer. The imagery was terrifying. Some of the backstories were terrifying. There was some nightmare fuel in this. And again, this probably would have been a high PG-13 or even a low-rated R movie had they gone with this script, and there is no way Disney would have been the ones producing it. This was a horror movie. I read a script for a horror movie. So, do I think this version of the film, if released in 1993, would be as iconic as Hocus Pocus as we know it is today? I have to say no. Kind of. It would be iconic, but like how Attack of the Killer Tomatoes is iconic in the horror fandom. A gloriously bad horror movie that can't take itself too seriously, but definitely doesn't take itself seriously enough to really leave an impact. It would be one of those movies you'd watch on a, let's watch a poorly made horror movie and laugh our butts off at night. The Sanderson sisters' motives are so confusing. They jump between priorities, the characters are constantly being mixed up, and two of them didn't even need to be here for 95% of the script! The reason this movie is so iconic as we know it is because of the Sanderson sisters. Each one has a distinct personality. None of them are interchangeable. They're their own thing. They have amazing chemistry with each other because there's an underlying bond beneath all of that slapstick. They're the right amount of spooky and kooky for families to watch together. I have no doubt Sarah Jessica and Kathy could have pulled these versions off, but I don't think it would have left as great of an impact as what we got. Max, Allison, and Danny, and especially Binks, benefit from this first draft, and I would have liked to see a bit more of draft 1 seep into their characters for the final draft, except don't make Allison a mean girl. I didn't like her for most of the movie. Or script. I keep saying movie, same difference. I enjoyed what they had to say, especially Binks. He was super entertaining. I liked that Max had friends in Ben and Alan, but they really weren't necessary, because they were there, and then they were gone, and then they were there, and then they were gone, and then they came back at the end. It wasn't necessary. I just don't think this version would have left as much of, I guess, cultural impact as our final canon version of Hocus Pocus has. So there you go, guys. That is my reaction / thoughts on the first draft of Hocus Pocus. What do you guys think? Were there things that I listed off that you would have liked to have seen in the final script? Have you read the script? What are your thoughts on it? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, if you're new to my channel, please remember to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't. It's free. It helps me. What helps me helps you guys get more great content like this. Thank you for letting this come out a few days late because I was busy. I had things to do. I did not have time to get this stuff done for Monday. I had things to do. So thank you for being patient. I appreciate it. So Thursday night, I'm over on the Twitch channel playing more 4th Plays Jedi Fallen Order right here. Not right here. Over on Twitch. I literally just said that. I'm tired. It's late. So we'll be over on the Twitch channel playing Jedi Fallen Order at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. On my Twitch channel. I'm gonna say that again. And then Saturday night, we are back here for more Black Flame Gaming with Winifred Sanderson Plays Pokemon Emerald Randomized Nuzlocke. Possibly for the penultimate episode, but I wouldn't count on it. I think it's gonna be the next to penultimate episode. Because it's gonna take me a while to get to our legendary. You'll see why when we get there. So it'll be interesting. I hope you guys join me for that. Next Monday, you guys are getting a Star Wars Revenge of the 5th, because it'll be May the 5th. Revenge of the 5th special, where I decide what the Sanderson sisters would be named if they were Sith Lords. Because I can. Oh! And on May the 4th, on Star Wars Day, I will be back on Twitch for a May the 4th stream of 4th Plays Jedi Fallen Order, so join me over there for some May the 4th shenanigans at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're regular on this channel, please remember to drop a like, share your thoughts on the video down below. I am Casey Zogelman, aka the 4th Sanderson Sister, and I'll see you witches and wizards later.
I put a spell on you.